Now isn't that just lovely? So I'm doing this video squatting it out, something different I guess. So topic of today is doing the first interval as hard as you can. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you've got an interval set when you're doing 8 times 4 minute intervals. So with the 8 times 4 minute intervals, these are VO2 max intervals. So the intensity is going to be between 105 and 120% of your threshold power. So now what happens when you do that first interval all out? You can expect to see a percentage of around 130% of your FTP. And the reason why I recommend going all out for the first interval is because that's often what happens in a race. It's just that one move that is so absolutely fucking hard that just only a few guys can hang on. And doing the first interval all out allows you to be able to ride that extremely high wattage that you would get in a race when the move is all out. Whereas if you try and do the last interval of the 4 minutes absolutely all out, then you're going to find you're not going to be able to give as much wattage. So what this allows you to do when you do the first interval all out is you can get the anaerobic adaptations instead of just the VO2 max. So it gives you a little bit of variety in the interval set. So that's what I have done for the last 2 years, 2 years of my training, and I found it works really well, because now when the pressure's on, when there's one really hard move in a race, it's like nothing for me because I'm used to that. I get that variety in my training, and it's that variety that you do in the training that simulates the racing too, because that's what racing really is. It's like a whole range of efforts. You're riding in many different zones. So it helps to get that in your training too, so that you're not just used to training at one intensity, so you get a whole range of intensities. So that's how it can really help you, it can make you really sharp. So you can do this with any intervals. You can do it with 20-second intervals, 30-second intervals, longer intervals. I also do it with the 30-15 intervals. These are a really great interval set, really trains at high-end anaerobic power. 30-15 is like you do 30 seconds on, 15 seconds recovery, and you do that 13 times. And I do the first one at like 700 watts, and then the rest of them are closer to 450, 500 watts. So what that trains my body to do is to be able to respond to an incredibly hard acceleration. Whereas if you just did them all at 450, 500 watts, you won't be used to that really high end acceleration. But if you do just that one, it's just that one match that you need, that'll get you used to pushing just a little bit harder than everyone else. So one thing that you might find is that you are going to be struggling for the subsequent intervals after you've done that first one absolutely all out, and that's fine, that's normal, it's to be expected, but just try and keep it in the zone for the type of interval that you're doing. So if you're doing 4 minute intervals, and you keep it zone 5 for the subsequent intervals, and if you're doing shorter intervals, maybe like 1 minute intervals, and try and keep it zone 6 for the subsequent intervals. And if you're doing zone 4 intervals, just keep it zone 4, and you'll find that the more you do it every week, the average wattage for all the intervals is just going to go up, because you get used to it, you become more resilient, you become stronger, you can handle it. So it's all about turning the pressure on as much as you can. You're going to find you're going to ride like Superman.
Something's getting in my way, something's just about to break. I will try